This show is basically set up as a murder mystery from episode 1. Some girl, a pop star or wannabe pop star, is literally missing, and I believe they found the body of.
Yeah, but in episode 1, we don't know it's a pop star. It's just a random high school girl.
Yeah, it's just a random girl who's missing, and but she was found in the ocean. Basically, she was dumped in water, and she's a high school student. That type of thing. But I love murder mysteries personally. It's one of my favorite genres of entertainment. What's weird about this anime, though, is even though it's a murder mystery, it kind of has a lot of other concepts that I want to touch on.
Yes, it
that
does.
Make it so unique from any other anime I've ever seen, because it's very, and this is going to be weird to say, it's very realistic in a strange way. Mm-hmm. Despite the fact that let's talk about the art style. So every character depicted in the anime is depicted as an animal. The main character is a walrus. His name is Odokawa. And every other character that he interacts with throughout this entire anime is literally a different kind of animal. There's dogs, cats, horse, like everything. There's all types of shit. Sheep, literally everything. So that's one of the weird things about it. When you're watching it at first, it's kind of like, what the fuck? Why are these animals, interacting? They're in Japan. Clearly, they talk about different districts in Tokyo and just all throughout Japan. So it takes place in a real place, but everyone is an animal, which is, at first I was like, oh, that must be an art style thing. It's just a choice that they made. Anime, it's fantasy. It can be anything at once, which is why we love it.
We Are the World, Michael Jackson, and Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen, yes. So they mentioned real life idols, as they call them in Japan, or pop stars, as we call them here in America. But there's a lot of things that are realistic about it, and then there are things about it that are so off the beaten path. It's like, what am I watching? And it started to come off to me, at least in the beginning, as maybe slice of life. Mm-hmm. Because it's just about a taxi driver, it seems.
That's what I thought at first. I thought it was going to be just like, first going into it was just going to be like a 13 episode thing, and each episode was just going to be this taxi driver driving around someone different, and it was going to be, maybe some life lesson or something, just like some interesting little thing. That is not the direction it went, but
yeah. So the conversations in the beginning are very normal, that you would expect to have with like an Uber driver, for example. Mm-hmm. Like if you were one of those people who talks to Uber drivers. Now I'm just going to insert this right here. I fucking hate when Uber drivers try to talk to me. I do not like it. Please don't talk to me when I get in the back of your car. I just want to be left alone. I tend to put my AirPods in every single time, even if I don't play music, just so that people do not talk to me. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes people just want to talk regardless, which is so obnoxious, and that will get you the quickest one ever. I do not fuck with that. I don't like talking to strangers. I'm not a very friendly person when it comes to talking to strangers.
It is weird when you have your headphones in, when you get into the back of an Uber, and like you just have them in, and then you start to hear someone talking to you, and you're like, what? And then you hear it again. So, are you talking to me? Right. And they go, yeah. And I'm like, I had my headphones in. I have no idea what you said. Like,
there's a really popular meme that is from years ago now. And if you're an internet warrior like I am, you've definitely seen it. But there was a thing that said, Uber driver, ... me, ... Uber driver, ... me, ... 5 stars.
Yeah.
So they just didn't talk at all. And I think that those are the best rides. When my Uber driver tries to engage with me, how was your day? Are you coming from work? I think those questions are very intrusive. I'm not a person who likes to share my feelings with random people. And it's not the same as when I write stuff on Facebook or Instagram and stuff like that, because the people who I have on those platforms, I know them for the most part, like 90% of them I know. So I feel like I'm talking to my friends and people who have similar interests as me. They're mostly Yu-Gi-Oh players.
Yeah.
So at the very least, I speak from a perspective of another Yu-Gi-Oh player, and a lot of people that are on there are genuinely my friends that I'm talking to. Whereas like the person driving my car usually is a complete stranger who's probably not interested actually in anything that I'm talking about or how my day was, but they're just making conversation because they think that that's the way to get a better tip or just to, I don't know, relate to the person. But I hate it. And I think that there should be an option, and I don't care if I had to pay a little extra, like $1 or something, but there should be an option. Don't fucking talk to me. I should be able to check off Frasier is antisocial.
You should be able to have a profile, and like one of the ticks, it's like, are you conversational? Yes or no?
Right. And you can uncheck it or check it whenever you might be in the mood for a conversation. Some days maybe you're like, I don't feel like being antisocial today. I actually want somebody to talk to, a random stranger. I don't mind that. And for people who like that type of thing, and I know a couple, that should be an option. But I am not for that. So in Odd Taxi, really early on, a guy gets into his car, and this guy literally is the definition of "we'll do anything for clout."
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the first concepts that Odd Taxi kind of throws at you. Yes, it is a hippo. And it's one of the first concepts that the show throws at you that I think is so interesting because it relates to definitely 2022, 2021, and the age of the internet. How people will literally do anything to kind of go viral. Literally, the guy gets in the back of the car and he's like, hey, can you turn off whatever the fuck you're listening to? Says this to the taxi driver, says this to the main character.
Yeah.
Can you turn that off? You know, I can't think straight. So the taxi driver turns it off, like now the car is just silent, and he's like, I'm trying to figure out something to go viral.
Yep.
And this is when you first get how the taxi driver, how the main character is, Otokawa, how he is as a person. He's like, why do you want to do that? You know, that seems really stupid, seems pointless. He's like, nah, going viral is basically the most important thing you can do. You know, I'm trying to figure it out. He's like, well, how do you go viral? And the guy starts to name a couple ways, like, oh, it can happen naturally. You could write a wholesome post. You could create something that's completely bullshit and go viral. There's a couple things that he lists. And I find it to be so interesting because the internet today, I see a lot of people who you can tell they're just doing everything that they do for a moment, for clout, for likes, for follows. And it's very cringe when you see that, especially when it's overdone, especially by some people who, A, they're trying to be funny and they're not, or they stage something to be wholesome and it's not. For example, one of the things I fucking hate is when people give something to homeless people and they film it. And they kind of make like a whole little sad documentary thing, and they're going around giving homeless people money or Dunkin' Donuts and shit.
YouTube all the time. I think it's kind of died out, but
there
was an era. I want to say maybe 2016-ish, give or take a few years, where you would just see YouTube videos and they'd be called like social experiments or something.
Yes.
And it would be somebody like doing something and like giving money to homeless people or pretending to be homeless to show how not good other people are or something. Like just whatever. And it was
that shit is cringe. If you give something to a homeless person, it doesn't need to be recorded. It doesn't need to be shown to the world for clout. I'm not going to think you're a good person because you did that. It's really cringe, and I just don't like the idea of recording. At least if you're going to do that, like you have to record them. Please don't include their face. I just really hate when I see that. And so, anyway, as this guy is speaking, the hippo in the back seat, he's like, hey, what can I do to go viral? And again, the main character, he's not for this at all. He's a 41-year-old man. He's not interested in this whole genre, which also kind of makes sense because the main character being so old, or I shouldn't say that, but like the main character being 41.
Look, man, you said it.
I mean, because I don't know if 41's old now and I'm getting up there in age. I don't want to age my, you know what I mean? Like, I sympathize with the 41-year-olds now. Well, when I was 18, I was like, 41, you old as shit.
You old as fuck. But now Fraser's like, 30's the new 20.
Yeah, exactly. I'm 30's the new 20 for sure. I am 30's the new 20 for sure now. So this 41-year-old, I don't want to age him too much and be like, oh, he's old as fuck. But the 18-year-old me would have been like, you old as fuck.
You old as
A
fuck.
41-year-old is probably not as into the internet. And they literally show when the hippo pulls out his phone, it has like Twitter on it. And he's looking at other posts that have gone viral and why they've gone viral. And there's this whole analyzation by the main character. And he's like, okay, I get it. But also, I just don't understand why that's important to you. Like, why do you care about what random people on the internet think about you? And really, the hippo, whose name is, I think, Kabasawa, he doesn't really have a valid reason why. It's just kind of like
just caught in the cycle of the internet.
Yeah, anything for clout. He's a clout chaser, literally a clout chaser, and I can see that in real life, which is so cool that the anime addresses something. So immediately, episode 1, as I'm watching it, and I didn't know what the hell this thing was about. I was like, oh, it's kind of like slice of life, but also they're kind of talking about things that are, I don't know if we want to call it real life issues, but they are talking about things that are real.
Yeah.
And so I like that immediately. Like, you're not going to get that in Naruto. You're not going to get that in Bleach, One Piece, stuff like that. You're not going to get that realism where someone has a cell phone and they're posting something for clout. Like, that's not a thing in typical shonens. You know what I mean? So that's why this was cool.
On that note, Because I agree with you. One of the big themes, I think the show has a lot of different themes and things it's trying to do, but one of the biggest themes I think the show is trying to talk about is addiction.
Okay.
And if you look at the opening, especially as I watched every episode, I listen to the opening every time because
Me too.
the song is so good.
So let's talk about that for a second. The opening is actually called Odd Taxi, and before this episode was recorded, you sent me the actual music video for it, which I watched right before recording this. And the music video is really cool. I'm not usually a fan of Japanese rap, but I have liked in the past. There's a Bleach opening that has a Japanese rapper on it, and I think it's actually amazing. And there's a couple. Bleach has a couple rap openings, and I think Bleach has some of the best anime opening themes ever. So this one resonated with me strangely on the first listen, and like you, I did not skip it ever.
Nope.
But it's really good. So listen to the theme song. I mean, if you're gonna watch this anime, then you'll hear it anyway. Yeah. But the theme song is really good, and it'll grow on you.
And the guy singing first. So when I watched the music video, as a side note, this is really random. I don't know what people, but when my man's I love seeing. I don't know why, but I love seeing chubby people sing. And like when they sing really good, I don't know what it is, but I tend to feel like just throughout my life, chubby people tend to be more likely to be a good singer than skinny people. I don't know what it is.
That is factually correct. I think that's just a fact.
But yeah, I don't know. Like
Ruben Studdard, Adele, Aretha Franklin, Jennifer Hudson when she was bigger.
I just feel like
there's a ton.
In my life, whenever I've seen a random skinny person sing and a random chunky person sing, the chunky person was a better singer.
They have more soul. They just have more soul.
They do have more soul. And so when I saw my guy, he's a little chunky, and he was just singing his ass off. Like, and he had his eyes closed, and he was singing his ass off. I was like, I fucking love this guy. Like, I don't know who he is until now, but I fucking love this guy.
It's very wholesome, right? What you would say? The video was very wholesome.
It was good.
Chunky people are wholesome in general. I love honestly, my best friends are all chunky people, and I love them.
Yo, for real. And then at the one part in the music video, he's like sitting on the hill with the sunset, and he's singing his ass off. I was like, God damn it, this is amazing. But to get off the music video, which the music is really good, but I watch the opening every single time. And this is something that's really cool. This might be, even aside from the music, the visuals of the opening might be one of the best openings I've ever seen. Because the whole anime is shown to you in the opening. Like, every spoiler for the entire show is in the opening. Which is crazy because as I was watching it episode by episode and things get revealed, and I'm watching the opening every single time, I'm like, holy shit. So it's one of those things when you go back and rewatch something or go back and re-listen to something, you hear things or see things you didn't see before. I was getting that feeling just from looking at the opening. So, like you were saying with the hippo guy from episode 1, they show in the opening, it's like his head, and his head's like a balloon, and he's looking at his phone, and his head would get really big and inflate it, and then it would get really, really small, like it looks depressed. And it's like the cycle of addiction on the internet when you're looking at Instagram and social media.
Right, the dopamine rushes.
Where you get really, really big, but then that same social media starts to bring you down and make you feel depressed. And they show that right there in the opening with him. And then, to skip around a bit, they show a couple other characters. Kakihana, which is a monkey. And he's one of the main characters, like best friends, I would say.
Right.
He's an old man as well. And he kind of just lives by himself. He's not in a relationship. He has like a construction job. He doesn't make a lot of money, and he's trying to find love. And then it shows in the opening. It shows him like addicted to Tinder and like being on different love dating apps. And
that's an archetype of human as well. So I think we're in agreement, obviously, on this 100%. And I think that the show shows different archetypes of humans.
Yes.
And this is one because I've experienced people who are addicted to dating websites. Actually, one of my closest friends is actually addicted to that type of thing. And honestly, in the last 7 years or so, I have not seen him not on one of those dating websites whenever we're around each other. Like literally at some point during our time hanging out, he's going to pull out his phone and he's going to be on Tinder or Bumble, whatever the fuck. I don't even know what all of them are called, but you get the idea. Yep. Okay, Cupid and stuff like that. And I've seen success stories where people find the love of their lives on that thing. I mean, my friend Steven Silverman, I think he met his fiance on OkCupid. So they've been together for like 9 years. Literally just celebrated 9 years in 2021. So I've seen success with it, but I've also seen where you don't find success on it, or maybe you're not even looking for success. Maybe you're looking for something. Hey guys, if you like this clip, we have full video versions of our podcast episodes available on the IMNerd Patreon, as well as exclusive content.
If you'd like to listen to our full podcast episodes or find us on any other social media platforms, you can do so by clicking the link tree below.